Ms. Mitchell, you are here in the court today because you claim your childhood sweetheart stole your virginity, got you pregnant, and is now denying paternity of your 2-month-old daughter, Rylan.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Robinson, in your defense, you claim you doubt paternity because after Ms. Mitchell told you she was pregnant, you found out she was sleeping with 4 other men.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Mitchell, explain to the court, how did you get yourself in this messy situation?
Well, Your Honor, we hung out a few times and he pressured me to have sex with him, and I said I wasn't ready yet. And so then I was hanging out at these apartment complexes and we hooked up and had sex. I lost my virginity and I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks later.
Wow. So, Mr. Robinson, is that account true?
No, Your Honor. We hooked up. One time. That was it.
One time?
Okay.
One time.
Well, that's about all you need is one
that's
time.
About...
Did you use protection?
One time.
Did you use protection?
No.
No protection. All right, so that's a recipe for...
Disaster.
Well, no, for baby making. And for responsibility and consequence.
Disaster.
So hold on now, ma'am. Hold on one second. I'm going to get to you in one moment. So you tell him you're pregnant.
Yeah.
She didn't even tell me she was pregnant, Your Honor. She had one of her friends she grew up with inboxed me and her on Facebook and said, I'm not trying to start no drama. I thought I'd let you know that she had sex with 4 other guys. Okay?
Let me get this story straight. You start getting messages from the peanut gallery.
Yes, Your Honor, from her best friend, Your Honor.
Telling you.
My best friend wouldn't say that.
They just want to give you the heads up that she was sleeping with other people.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that you don't think you're necessarily the only potential candidate.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you don't have a doubt at that time until you get Facebook messages.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's it from you. Ms. Mitchell, you say he took your virginity.
Yeah, he did.
But did you have sex with somebody else?
I never had sex
right
with him,
after
but
he took it?
No, not at all.
So did you have sex with anyone else during the window of conception?
No.
Who are these people telling him these stories?
I don't know.
Do you
they
know?
won't tell me, so I don't know.
So people just lying on you?
It's him lying and her.
Oh, so you don't think he even ever got the messages?
No, not at all.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the birth. You have the baby. Is Mr. Robinson with you?
No, but his sister was.
His sister came?
Yes, I sent my sister, Your
So
Honor.
he wasn't at the, you sent her?
Yes, because I had got arrested the night of, I'm not gonna lie, I'll be 100% honest with you, Your Honor. So I said, Erica, I said, will you do me a favor? She said, what, bub? I said, will you make sure you go to the hospital for me? She said, yes, I will.
And so she went?
Yeah, when she came up, she said that she tried to get Ryan to come, but Heather wouldn't let him.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
That's not a lie. That's exactly what she told me.
Your Honor,
That's exactly what she said.
So hold on.
Not a lie.
Miss Mitchell, your witness is literally jumping out of her seat. So I want to hear from her now. Please step up.
Pull this out.
My name's Diana Mitchell, and this is my daughter. And Hope was raised better than to lay around sleeping with men. I have no clue where they come up with that. No clue whatsoever where they come up with 4 men. That is not true. And as far as him saying that he was in jail, I have proof right here that he didn't get arrested until 2 days after the baby was born.
So if he was in jail, if he was in jail, how did he get arrested again?
With my daughter in the hospital. And yes, his sister was there, and I said, well, where's Ryan?
It wasn't the day after, it was the 9th.
I'm the one that said, well, I'm glad you're here. Where's Ryan? And she said, well, I'm trying to get a hold of him. And then I said, did you get a hold of him? And she said, no, Heather won't let him come. That's exactly what she said
Your Honor,
to me.
that is a lie.
So hold on, let me understand this piece of evidence you presented. So Rylan was born on May 7th, and you, Mr. Robinson, you were arrested on May 9th.
Your Honor, no. I was arrested 5/8 of 2014. In the morning.
Okay, but she was born on the 7th.
At 10 o'clock on the morning, I was arrested, okay? And that was the day the file, I have more than just one charge that they picked me up on. Trust and believe, I don't have no shame in my game. I was picked up on more than one charge.
And I was laying in a bed for 14 hours in labor.
He literally.
And you chose to lay down on
the guy,
Okay, and nobody
you had nothing in it. You had nothing in it.
Okay,
he
but
cheated on
I do. He didn't cheat on me, sweetie. We wasn't together. I've never done anything to this girl, ever. I've never disrespected
She's
her. I
immature
never
and childish,
She's on
Your Honor.
Facebook
She's 18
updating
years
her
old and she's
status about
immature
me.
and childish. That's my point.
She updated her status about me all the time, claiming that I was on Facebook talking about her, and I wasn't.
Oh, who cares? Who cares?
Yeah,
Who
nobody
cares?
cares about that.
But I know, I'm so sick of who cares? Who cares? This is just getting ridiculous. You all in this Facebook and this, if you all would have just stayed on Facebook instead of laying down in the bed with no protection, we wouldn't be here. But now you all want to talk about Facebook all day. And I want you all to understand that beautiful
Your Honor,
little girl is what
her.
matters.
This is a beautiful baby. This is an intelligent baby, and it is about her, and that is why we're here today. Ryan, when Hope come to me and told me that she was pregnant, first of all, I never believed it was her. The very next day, I took her to the doctor. Yes, she is pregnant. I want to meet this man. I met him. He took me to his mother's house. It was a good time. I mean, it was a nice day. I thought, okay, well, maybe he's going to be okay. Well, then, evidently, he's back with Heather or whatever, and everything changes. Everything changes.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Have you been involved?
Your Honor, yes, I have. I've contacted her and asked about the baby, and I did. And you know what I got? Her emotions. And like I told her, Hope, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to be with you. I want to know how the baby's doing. Okay, and then it got to a point to where she was inboxing me on Facebook talking about, you're worthless. Why am I worthless? Because I don't want to be with you, and I'm not going to come somewhere to where I am disrespected at all. She won't let her spend time with me because of Heather, which has no reason. If she is mine, she has 3 other siblings. She has 2 brothers.
Zero.
She has 2 brothers and a sister. Regardless if they're not mine biologically, I've raised them as mine for the last 3 years of my life. They call me father. They look up to me as a father because I've been there when their father hasn't.
And now I'd like to hear from your witness. Ma'am, please stand up to the podium. State your name.
Heather Hitchcock.
Ms. Hitchcock, you are Mr. Robinson's current girlfriend? Fiance. And what do you have to add to this situation?
I have been I've tried being civil with Hope. She had messaged me on Facebook when me and Ryan was split up, telling me that she was sorry for the way that she was acting.
Oh, yeah. I did say that.
And I told her, regardless, we need to get along. If Ryan's, we need to be civil. I have kids, whatever. And she, agreed to that. But then when it all came down to it, it was she didn't want her around me. If me and Ryan was together, that he wasn't to be a part of Ryland's life.
Because she wrote on Facebook that Ryland wouldn't know what a good home was unless she was with them.
And Your Honor,
no, I did not.
You did too.
How much?
Hold on. First off,
where you messed up, I own a 4-bedroom house now.
Listen. You all, like I said before, you got so much to say about one another. But what does this have to do about this baby knowing who her father is? Now, I want to understand this. Are you, Mr. Robinson, do you hope this baby is yours?
I hope and pray to God on everything that I love. I have not known my father for 20 years. And yes, I haven't, but I know who my father is now. I don't want Ryland to grow up like that. If she is mine, by all means, I want to give her everything and anything.
Have you ever met Ryland?
No, I haven't. Because
she won't let us.
she
She's
will not let me.
drama.
The only way she told me that I could see Ryland is if I came by my safe and if I left Heather.
Ms. Mitchell, let me ask you if his contention is true. Have you told Mr. Robinson that he can come and see Ryland only if he leaves Ms. Hitchcock at home?
Leaves her to come to my house to visit her, but not leave her relationship-wise.
Your point is you don't want Ms. Hitchcock at your house.
No, and I don't want her around my daughter either.
She doesn't even look like me or my son.
She looks like... I got evidence.
She doesn't even look like me or my son, who is a spitting image. My son, and when I tell you he's a spitting image of me,
just like Hope.
My son is a spitting image of me. And when I tell you that,
hold on. What is this evidence you have, Jerome? Will you please hand me this evidence?
Look at my son and look at her. They look nothing alike.
She looks
that
like
is my identical twin.
She looks like
that is my identical twin. She looks nothing like me.
So you submitted these photos to the court.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And this is a picture of Ryland, which is Hope's daughter. and your son on the right.
That looks like Heather.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't
No, it looks like
you.
me.
It doesn't
Just like
look like
me.
you.
No, it looks like
And you're
Heather.
saying you don't see a resemblance
Family
between
members.
these two children.
No, honestly, I
Well,
don't.
they have two different moms. She looks just like me.
Now this picture,
Is of me and our 3 kids, which 2 of them are biologically not mine. But I've been there so much to them that they look up to me as a father figure.
Okay.
They look at me and they call me father. They call
and
me
this
father.
evidence you are submitting to show that
That
you
I
can
am-
be a good father.
That I am a good father.
He is a good father.
Yeah.
Not just the one that's his, but all 3 of them he's been there
So,
for.
hold on, Miss Mitchell, let me be clear. You believe Mr. Robinson is the father.
Yes.
You know that
Yes.
because you say you didn't sleep
Yes,
with
Your
anybody
Honor.
else.
Yes, Your
So if you want him to be a part of your daughter's life and you believe that he is her biological father, and although he has doubts if he is in fact her biological father, he wants to be in her life, why has this man never held or seen this baby
Because
yet?
he chooses not to.
He hasn't been
Because
Because she don't want her-
Because she does not like for instance, if you recall,
if you
just a
really-
couple minutes ago, I said that that Rylan has 3 siblings. She said she has none.
The only reason that is stated is because it was told by me, by Ryan's family member,
Yes.
he's testing the wrong one. I don't know her children, I don't know her, and I don't know them.
Well-
I know
So
nothing
you're
about
saying,
them.
hold on.
And that's why that
you're
was
talking
said.
about another child
Yes, sir.
that is not the subject of this particular case.
She's talking about.
I'm ready for the witnesses to be seated. Ms. Hitchcock, Ms. Mitchell, please have a seat. Thank you.
Your Honor, all I want to know here today is that if this kid is mine.
Thank goodness somebody's finally talking about Rylan. And what she first and foremost has a right to know and to have in her life is her mother
But also her.
and also her father. And if that is you, you've got to figure out how to make that happen. And Miss Mitchell, you also have to come up off all of your, the barriers that you are creating, that you admit to. You don't want him to be a part of her life. You don't want this. You don't want that. At some point, if this man is your child's father, you got to let that go.
If they want to get technical, Rylan has everything she wants at my house. She has clothes, she has Jordan outfits, she has a crib, she has a pack and play, she has toys. She has everything she needs, Your Honor. But until they learn to quit disrespecting me and to quit disrespecting my family about all this stuff that they call me.
So you're saying the baby has everything she needs. So
Yes,
you
she does,
have
Your Honor.
a room and
Yes,
a place
Your Honor.
for her
Yes,
to
I
sleep.
do,
So
Your Honor.
this is perfect because I'd like to also deal with this arbitration. Now, Ms. Mitchell, you're suing Mr. Robinson for child care expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Baby Rylan's 2 months old.
Yes, Your
For
Honor.
the past 2 months, you've been doing this by yourself.
Yes, Your Honor.
Approximately how much have you spent? Do you have any evidence for this
Yes.
court as to how much you've spent thus far on her care? Whew, finally a moment of silence, Jerome.
Yeah.
Oh. So I have monthly expenses for Rylan. Diapers at $35, wipes at $30, formula $145, clothes $40, bottles, baby laundry detergent $20, total monthly expenses $270.
Your Honor,
and you have receipts.
Yeah.
I see the receipts attached. So the baby's 2.5 months old.
Yes, Your Honor.
Doing the math here, that's $270 times 2.5 months, which is $675, half of which would be $337.50. If you're in fact baby Rylan's father, you would indeed owe her half of those child care expenses.
Yes.
But I cannot rule on that claim until we know the results.
I don't have a problem with buying Rylan anything. And like I
Good,
said,
that's what I wanted to hear you say. Now that's enough of that conversation, because if in fact she is your biological child, you are responsible to share in those expenses.
Yes, Your Honor, I
Now,
am.
we're finally back to baby Rylan and the results. Are we ready to hear them?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I am.
Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Mitchell v. Robinson, when it comes to 2-month-old Rylan Mitchell, Mr. Robinson, you are the father. So now, before I ask Ms. Mitchell if it would be okay if you meet your daughter for the first time, I have to say, concerning the arbitration where you were asking the court for $337.50. That's what you would be entitled to if it was determined that Mr. Robinson was in fact Rylan's biological father. It has been determined that you are, and so I am awarding Ms. Mitchell $337.50, which is half of the child care expenses for baby Rylan's 2.5 months she's been here. And she's spent and she's presented receipts for. So you owe her that money. Do we understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so the judgment is for the plaintiff on that. And now I have to ask you, can this man please see his little girl?
Please, that's all I want. That's all I want.
I will meet you all in my
kiss her.
chambers. Court is adjourned. Ms. Jackson, you have always believed Mr. Hightower was your father, but claim he disappeared out of your life when you were 6 and denied paternity. After reconnecting with him on the phone 2 months ago, you opened your case to prove what you have always known, that he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Jackson, it has been almost 20 years since you've seen the man you believe is your father. Are you ready to see him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Jerome, please escort him in.
Got it. We're gonna go right up here on the left.
Miss Jackson,
Yes, Your Honor.
you say you've always known Mr. Hightower is your father.
Yes.
Please explain.
My mom told me a while back when I was younger that he was my father, and I also have memories of him coming around when I was a little girl.
Please tell the court what you remember.
I remember going to the mall sometimes to meet with him, and sometimes him coming over to my house and just sitting in the car and watching me play in the front yard.
Mr. Hightower,
Yes, ma'am.
did you have a relationship with Ms. Jackson's mother?
Yes, I did.
Tell the court about the nature of your relationship.
Me and her mother had a relation, and we was intimate for like about 6 months, about 35, 40 times. After that, kind of broke off after that.
Okay. And so Ms. Jackson says you are the man she was always told was her biological father. Did you know about her?
Yes, I did. But at the time, there was other individuals involved, so that's why I have doubt that I'm not the father. We did, I asked her a couple of times if we could have a paternity test, and that didn't fall through.
And so there's been a question of paternity in your mind from the beginning.
Yes, ma'am.
So much so that you even requested a DNA test.
Yes, ma'am.
But unfortunately, it was never administered.
No.
When her mother got pregnant, what did she tell you?
I seen her 2 months. She was 2 months pregnant at the time that I seen her. But at that time, her ex came back into the picture. So the dates that she was telling me just didn't add up.
You realized that the window of conception pointed more towards her ex than it did to you.
That's correct.
What did she tell you?
She told me that I was the father.
She did.
Yes, sir.
Can I say something?
Yes, you may, Ms. Jackson.
Actually, he was going to the doctor's appointments with my mom, too.
You were?
Yeah.
Never happened. I don't know why her mom would tell her that.
I don't
but
think she'll lie to me.
I never, ever went to a appointment, doctor's appointment, because at the time I was in a relationship.
All right. And so what did she tell you about the relationship she had with Mr. Hightower?
She told me that him and her, they weren't really in an actual relationship, but they did mess around quite a lot, and that he couldn't tell everybody else that him and her was in relations or messing around.
But at the end of the day, she knew definitively that he was your biological father.
Correct.
Mr. Hightower, when was the first time you saw Miss Jackson as a baby?
She was 2 years old.
And under what pretense? Why is it you saw her? How is it you saw her?
I seen her because I always in my mind, I thought, well, maybe it's a possibility. So at that time, I went and picked her up. Me and Miss Hightower picked her up. Then we took her to the mall, went to the mall. So at that point, I just left it like that.
I don't remember him picking me up and taking me to the mall. I remember my mom taking me to the mall, and I do remember her, the lady.
So you remember meeting Mr. Hightower?
Yes, I do.
As a child?
Yes.
What are your memories?
I remember he used to come over to my house. We used to go to the mall and, eat lunch or something. And once upon a time, he used to stay a night at my house. And the last time I seen him, when I was about 6 years old, he told me that he was going to buy me a bike for Christmas, but he disappeared and never came back.
Did you say that to her, Mr. Hightower? You gonna buy her a bike?
No, ma'am.
And never came back?
No, ma'am. I don't recall any of those things like that. I did go over there, but never stayed the night, because like I said, at that time I was married. I couldn't stay the night at somebody else's house like that. So, and I never promised a bike.
I think things weren't going right with him and her or something, but I do remember him staying a night.
And you say at that time you were married and you had a wife, and your wife is here in court with you today. Ma'am, would you please stand and step up to the podium? Your name, ma'am?
Lisa Hightower.
Do you remember meeting Brittany?
I do, and she was 2 years old. We picked her up and we took her to the mall. And she says, I don't know how she remembers me, because that's the last time I seen her. I mean, I seen her other times, but it was when she was 2 and 3. It's a good memory.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Well, I will say this about children. When there is a memory embedded in their mind, like this is one of the only few times I've seen the man I believe is my father, some children just don't forget that. We hear that all the time in this courtroom.
Yeah.
Children remember those things. And I see that. What are you feeling, Brittany?
I'm mad because I shouldn't even have to go through all this, It shouldn't have been 20 years later that you decided to come and find me. If you believe that I was your daughter, then you would have put in the effort to get the DNA test to find out and not miss parts of my life.
And what was it like growing up without him?
I mean, I was always loved,
Your Honor, I tried on several occasions to go and get the DNA test, but her mother never followed through with the DNA. So I have a total of 14 kids, and all my kids know each other. So there would be no reason for me not to do the same with her.
When I was 18, I was an adult, right? So I could have made my own decisions. It didn't have to be, I'm 24 now.
What she's saying, Mr. Hightower, she doesn't believe you put enough commitment and effort towards being a part of her life and finding her. DNA test or no DNA test, I mean, honestly, if you believed she was your daughter, then why not just...
Well, Your Honor, I didn't believe that she was my daughter because there was 2 other gentlemen that was in her mom's life at the time.
But Miss Jackson, your mother has maintained, she has said to you, Mr. Hightower is your biological father, is that correct?
She's always told me that, yeah.
She's never wavered?
Nope.
So did you start searching for
Yes.
Mr. Hightower?
When I was about 15, I would look on the social media websites and try to Google and find people that's related to him, but it never was successful.
And so you would search and search, but you never found him?
Nope.
And then eventually I just gave up.
And then you gave up. And so how did you reconnect with him a couple months ago?
One day I received a friend request from, I believe, one of his daughters. And I knew it was his daughter because she had the same last name as him. And so she continued to send me a message and say, I think you might be my sister. And then I just was like, okay. And then so she asked, can he have my number? And I told her, yeah. And then he called my phone and he talked to me and said that he wanted to do a DNA testing.
What was that first conversation like? What did he say when you talked to him?
About how he had doubts of me being his daughter and his reasons why.
And then how did you feel? Now you're 24. How did you feel?
When I did talk to him, it felt like we kind of connected, you know.
Okay. It's interesting, though, that he found you, Mr. Hightower. What was happening that after all these years, one of your children reaches out to Miss Jackson?
My life that I was living back in the past, I changed my life. I turned my life over to God. So I felt that there was closure that I needed. So I asked my daughter if she can find her so I can reach out to her, because that was a chapter of my life that I wanted to close one way or the other. I wanted to find out.
So you had been living with this all these years as well?
Yes, ma'am.
And as you began to strengthen your faith, you knew that there were parts of your past that you had left open, and you wanted to make sure you closed things the right way.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
if she was your daughter, to be a part of her life, and if she was not, to know that for certain and make sure she did as well.
Yes, ma'am.
So what was that first conversation like for you when you finally spoke with Brittany?
For me, it was good conversation. I, enjoyed having a conversation. She told me about her kids. I asked her how was she doing. She said, she had 4 kids and she was with the same guy in high school, and I was, proud. And then that's pretty much how the conversation went. I told her, that I want to do a DNA if she was okay with that, and she said yes.
And were you relieved when he said yes?
Yeah.
And what else did you feel, Brittany?
Like a sense of relief, because I finally got to talk to him, and I haven't, talked to him or seen him ever since I was younger. So, it actually felt kind of good.
So as you look at him and he's here in court, what do you want to say? Is there something you've had years to think about this man that everyone has said is your biological father, and you've been confused about where he is, why he wasn't in your life? What would you like to say to him right now?
I've always lived in Sacramento. I never went anywhere else. Why didn't you try harder?
That's a question, Mr. Hightower.
Like I said, I was going through things in my life that I needed to take care of me before I can take care of another child. Plus, I did attempt to do several DNA tests with her mom, which made me to believe that she wasn't my child, because if she was my child, I feel that her mom would have put forth that effort in the beginning to go through with the DNA, especially when I'm telling her that I'll pay for the DNA test. So by that, it made me lose that oh yeah, that's real good possibility that that's my child. That made me to believe that something ain't right. Because like I said, again, she was involved with 2 other men that could be her biological father also.
But your mother has never told you, Ms. Jackson, about 2 other men, am I correct?
No.
You admit Ms. Jackson's mother did tell you you were the father when she got pregnant. She said it was you. So, Brittany, before we go to the results, I want you to talk to the court and to Mr. Hightower about what your hopes are and why this is so important to you.
I feel like I have the right to know, if he is my biological father or not. If he is, I would like to have, a relationship with him, and I would like my kids to know who their grandfather is. And one day I plan on getting married, and if he is my dad, I would like for him to walk me down the aisle.
Like every girl wants. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's those little things every little girl wants.
You know, every little girl wants to have a relationship with her dad.
You're
Well,
right.
if he is my dad.
I'm happy you were able to say that, honey. Because I know that's hard for you. But it's important that you say that. And
Right.
it's okay to acknowledge the hurt you felt. I have the results for you. Jerome?
Yes.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Jackson versus Hightower, when it comes to 24-year-old Brittany Jackson, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Hightower, you are not the father. He's unfortunately not your biological father after all.
Gotta give her a hug.
No, thank you.
You're just not ready, but that was lovely. This is very difficult. I thank you for attempting to support this beautiful young woman. And it's not over. It's not completely behind her yet, but we at least have gotten to one step in the truth. And thank you for being here and being willing to confront that time in your past. And I hope it has given you some closure as well.
Yes, ma'am.